Thank you, everyone, for being here and joining us today. And thank you to the released hostages and hostage families for coming here and joining us and telling us, to remind us what is so important in this world today. As a father, son, brother, I can only imagine what you go through every single minute, every single day. What you have been forced to endure by the cruelty of Hamas is unbelievable and unbearable. As we counted before to 184, I was standing there imagining what every moment was like. And for us, it was only a brief couple of minutes. But for them, that counting goes on and on. But believe me, we are all here today to let you know that you must not carry this pain on your own. We are here, every person, to make sure that we will continue to push for their release, for their freedom, at every moment and in every way that we can. The entire community, the entire Jewish community of this region and of this country is with you and will never, ever leave you alone until your family members are with you. We are here today on the National Mall, the center of America, where we come to demand freedom. We are here to say that they must come home now. Every single hostage must be allowed and must be released back today and immediately so that they can be home with their families. We are here to stand with you against the evil of Hamas, a group, a terrorist organization that murders men, women, and children, that kidnaps men, women, and children, and holds them to achieve some unknown goal just for the cruelty of having power over another people. We are all here together to tell you that we will stand against evil and we will work every day and every night to defeat this evil with everything that we can do, and for as long as it takes. We are in the middle of one of the most trying times for Israelis, for the Jewish community, and for all humanity. We did not ask for this challenge, but we are facing it now, and you are leading us in facing that challenge. How we choose to make it through this moment, 6 months and counting, will be part of history. Your leadership, your bravery, your willingness to stand up for your family and against hatred is part of the story of the Jewish people forevermore. So I say to everyone here, speak out, act out, be there for one another, make a difference, call your members of Congress, call everyone that you know, and demand that every single hostage be brought home now. Bring them 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 home now. And finally, I hope and I know there'll be better days ahead. And I hope that someday, in the not-too-distant future, we can welcome you all back to Washington with a full table, with every single one of your family members, where we can all sit together and have a meal. Thank you.
Now call up Jonathan Dekelchen, father of Sagi Dekelchen.
I stand here humbled. I grew up in Connecticut in the 1960s and the 1970s, seeing this monument behind us as hallowed ground for freedom and justice. That is what we seek here today for our loved ones, who since October 7th have been hostages in Gaza. At this moment, my kibbutz community is burying Elad Katzir, a 47-year-old man, a friend of mine, a Hamas hostage who we know survived the massacre on Nir Oz. His Hamas captors murdered Elad in January after they barbarically paraded him in 2 hostage videos. Elad was allowed to die because not enough was done to rescue him. I say no more. There is no more time. Let us honor Elad's memory by making sure that this day, today, marks the beginning of the end of the hostages' living nightmare. Our hostages, including my beautiful 35-year-old son, Sagi, were abandoned, I'm sorry to say, by our own government in Israel on October 7th. They must not be sacrificed again. No more. I've proudly and patriotically lived on the border with Gaza, on Kibbutz Nir Oz, for the better part of 43 years. On October 7th, Hamas massacred 40 members of my extended family, destroyed our homes and our way of life. 40 Nir Ozniks are still hostages. Of them, we hope 27 are still alive. The people of Gaza have been my neighbors for those 43 years that I've been on Nir Oz. I wish for the people of Gaza the same things I wish for my own family. But here's the hard truth. The only hope for all of us begins with the return of all the hostages now. My brave son, Sagi, may be dying in a Hamas hellhole. To return him to his wife and 3 little girls, there is no room for politics in Israel or in the US. For those Arab nations serving as intermediaries in the negotiations, please go forward knowing this. The only way to avoid even more multi-generational tragedy in our region is to do all that you can and more to get the hostages home now. Please, you must not fail the hostages. The fate of our region, the Middle East, depends on you, Arab intermediaries. The road to any better future for Israelis and Palestinians begins when the hostages are freed. And to you, wonderful people, gathered here today at this temple of freedom, please know that in these dark days, weeks, and months, your solidarity is like rays of light for all of the hostage families. Of that I am sure. For the sake of Israel and our hostages, I ask that you join us doing everything in your power to end this terror, to end this horror. Join us in pressuring all sides to do the right thing. I believe here that all of us are lovers of Israel. Help us ensure that Israel's government does all that it must, no matter how painful, to redeem our 134 innocent captives. All of them have names. All of them, daughters, sons, sisters, brothers, mothers, fathers, wives, husbands, and grandparents. Help me bring my beloved Sagi back to his family. Help my family and my country be complete again. Let the freedom and justice embodied in this hallowed monument carry the hostages home. Bless you all for being here today.
We now invite up Destiny Albritton, Senior Director of Next Gen at Christians United for Israel.
Hello, my name is Destiny Albritton, and I'm the Senior Director of Next Gen at Christians United for Israel. Supporting Israel, thank you. Supporting Israel is our single mission, and supporting the Jewish people is our single mission. It is an honor to be here with you today to lend my voice with yours as we demand the hostages held captive by Hamas in Gaza be brought home now. You may wonder, why are Christians committed to Israel and the Jewish people? Well, for me, like many Christians, I grew up surrounded by the story of Israel and the beautiful Jewish people, and I had no idea. When I was a little girl, every year around Easter, my dad would get so excited for the screening of a famous movie, The 10 Commandments. We weren't sure how it related to Easter, but if we had done basic research, we would have found out the 10 Commandments was broadcast for Passover, which takes place near Easter almost every year. My whole life, I celebrated Moses as a great leader, a man who was divinely trained to lead God's people out of oppression and out of distress in Egypt. One day I realized God's people, the Jewish people, they didn't vanish when they stopped writing books of the Bible. I realized Moses was the first leader for self-determination of the Jewish people for the land of Israel. I realized Moses was a Zionist and the people of Israel live. It is our mission at Christians United for Israel that every Christian familiar with Moses has that same understanding. It is our mission to ensure every Christian understands that hatred that hardened Pharaoh's heart to keep the Jewish people oppressed is the same hatred that has kept 130 people held captive in Gaza. It has been 6 months since Hamas's brutality on October 7th. It has been 6 months since the 130 remaining hostages were snatched from safety. 6 months is half of a year. It is too long, and it is unacceptable. I may not be Jewish, but I was born to be a friend of Israel and the Jewish people. And so today, I say, Israel, you are not alone. I say, Hamas, let my people go. Bring them home now. I represent over 10 million Christians around the United States from different denominations, races, and political affiliations, and I stand shoulder to shoulder with you to bring the hostages home today. Thank you.
We now will hear from Idan Alexander's sister, Mika, and Omer Nutra's brother, Daniel.
Hello, my name is Mika Alexander, and I'm the sister of Idan Alexander.
And my name is Daniel Nutra. I am the brother of Omer Nutra.
These young men are both lone soldiers that have been through hell since October 7th, 2023. My family's entire world changed on this terrible day when my older brother Idan was kidnapped and taken hostage by Hamas terrorists. It's now been 6 months since we last heard anything from my brother. 184 days since I've been able to text or even hear him laugh. He turned 20 in captivity, somewhere in the dark, without his family or friends who love him. I'm 3 years younger than Idan, and I've always looked up to him, and this year I couldn't even wish him a happy birthday. He's my best friend, and he's taught me to be kind and selfless, to seek out adventures, and to always put my friends and family first. Instead of going straight to college after high school, Idan chose to serve in the army in Israel because he wanted to do something good for other people, because he's the most selfless and he cares about others the most. The day Idan disappeared was the worst day I've ever experienced. Our mom called him in the morning of October 7th when she heard rockets began to fly near Gaza. He said he was safe, but then he stopped responding. A few days later, I officially found out that my brother has been taken hostage by Hamas terrorists along with hundreds of others. I just want to know if my brother is okay, and I just want him home. I join my mother, my father, my brother Roy, and the rest of the families that are awaiting word of their loved ones and implore the US, Qatar, Egypt, Israel, and other allies in the region to stop at nothing to bring our loved ones home immediately. Hamas has committed crimes against humanity, and it's time for them to release every single hostage, and it's time to bring my brother home before it's too late. Thank you.
Can you imagine 6 months not knowing if your brother is alive or dead? Can you imagine a whirlwind of media, protests, politicians, and needing to advocate like an activist to make sure people even know about him, let alone care? Can you imagine being shouted at by a crowd of people for the crime of your brother being kidnapped? Can you imagine your brother's life in the hands of a group that murdered 1,200 people in one day? Can you imagine being told by your prime minister to your face that his ambitions take priority over a deal that will save your brother's life? Can you imagine dreaming every night, that he will come back and waking up to realize he's still gone? I can't imagine it. 6 months in, and every day feels like I'm waking up on October 7th with the same questions. Is Omer safe? Does he know that we're fighting for him? Is he eating enough? Is he drinking seawater? Has he seen the sun in 6 months? No one can imagine it. Not you, not the governments, not the media, not anyone. But this is our reality, and I can't bear to imagine it. When will brave, selfless Omer embrace us again? When will we see his warm smile? This has to stop, not for me, but for all the hostages.
Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Executive Director of the JCRC of Greater Washington, Ron Halber.
Six months ago, a crime against humanity was committed against the state of Israel and the Jewish people. The 1,200 people who we lost are forever seared in our hearts and in our memories. Today and every day we honor them. Today and every day we will never forget. For the more than 130 people being held hostage by Hamas, every day is October 7th. For their families, as you've heard today, the nightmare has never ended. As American Jews, we stand here in ironclad unity with the Israeli families who are suffering nonstop from this unimaginable horror. To the Israeli families here today, we say, we love you. We will continue to move heaven and earth and do everything in our power to bring your loved ones home. This is our mission. We are one Jewish family. Our faith teaches us the principle of Pidyon Shivuim, securing the release of a fellow Jew who is imprisoned unjustly. This is not simply a responsibility, my friends. It is a commandment. Never in our lives has it been more important to follow it. And as the world once again points its collective finger at Israel, we remind the world it is Hamas that has no regard for innocent human life. It is Hamas which deliberately targeted women and children and used rape and sexual assault as a weapon of war. It is Hamas who holds people captive who have committed no crime. It is Hamas which started this war, and we will not stop repeating the truth no matter how much they want us to. For 6 months, imagine 6 months, more than 130 people have been forced to live a life of darkness. They've been denied the basic blessings of liberty that are the birthright of every human being. Children taken from their parents, parents taken from their children, Holocaust survivors. Think about that. Holocaust survivors being taken against their will. How can the world look away? We will not let them look away. This is not about politics. This is about humanity. We embrace the families. We show our love. We pledge our steadfast commitment. We will keep relentless pressure on those with leverage over Hamas, like Qatar, to do their duty. We will not stop until every single innocent person is home and back with their families. And you know why that day will happen? Because the Jewish people are resilient. It will come because the Jewish people are strong. It will come because the Jewish spirit cannot be broken. It will become because the forces of good will triumph over the forces of darkness and despair. We pray that God to give these families strength and that they will soon be reunited with their loved ones. Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Let the media hear you now! Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home! Stand up! Bring them home! 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 When do we want them home? When do we want them home? Bring them home! Bring them home! Bring them home!
Aviva Siegel was held captive for 51 days. Her husband, Keith, is still being held captive. She is here with us today, along with Shir and Ilan, her daughters.
Thank you, everybody, for being here with us. And thank you, Yair Lapid, for being here for us. Not only today, but for the last 6 months. We all need to do everything we can for the hostages to come back and for the whole world to have a better world. I'm Aviva Siegel. I'm Keith's wife. Keith is American from North Carolina. I'm going to ask you to close your eyes and imagine Keith, that is 64 years old, begging for water, begging for something to eat, begging for some air to breathe, begging for just standing to move his body, begging to talk, begging to come home, to be with us. He is begging there in Gaza. He is begging in his heart with himself because there is nobody that he can beg to. The terrorists won't let him say a word. We know nothing about Keith. He is such a loving person. He would never do harm to anyone. He would never kill a fly. Keith is still in Gaza, going through hell. I was there for 51 days. I went through hell. I was starved while the terrorists ate in front of me. I was tortured. I was threatened, and I was thirsty. I had no human rights. I felt like nothing. But I came back. I returned from living hell, and I'm here standing today alive with my daughters. As I living proof that we can bring them home. There are no words to describe the hell that happened on the 7th. When Keith and I were brutally taken, Keith is still in Gaza. Half a year. Did you hear? Half a year. Can you believe it? Because I cannot. 133 hostages. 183 days of hell. A half a year. We need them to get out now. We need all the world to be a better world. Thank you.
Now invite up my colleague, Rabbi Healy Shear Slackman, a rabbi at Temple Micah, who will lead us in Hatikva and the Star-Spangled Banner.
I also invited the families who are here to come join me. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night
between the memorial behind me and the monument in front of me, some critical, life-saving messages have been sent to those in power who didn't want to make changes or sacrifices for what was right. Between that memorial and this monument, historically, messages have been sent and received. Do you recommit today to using your voice as much as possible, to contacting, calling the White House, your representatives, to bring them home now? Do you recommit today? Yes. Do we recommit today? Yes. Bring them home now. Bring them home now. Bring them home now. Bring them home. Bring them home. Bring them home. Thank you for being here. I hope we do not have to do this again. We must not.